What happens when two global icons collide on live television, under the white-hot glare of stage lights and millions of watching eyes? What happens when a moment meant to be polite, diplomatic, and routine suddenly spirals into an emotional powder keg that no one, neither the hosts, the producers, nor the audience, saw coming? Before we take you into the chaos, the tension, the breath-catching silence that followed the explosion you're about to witness, make sure you subscribe to Stage View, hit that like button, and drop a comment below. You're about to enter a moment that shook daytime TV, and the industry still hasn't recovered. It began like any other episode of The View. The studio audience buzzed with that typical morning show excitement, a mix of caffeine, chatter, and anticipation. The cameras glided silently across the bright set, headphones crackling in the ears of producers as they counted down to air. And there, at the center of it all, sat Whoopi Goldberg, calm, seasoned, unshakable. The anchor of the show, the undisputed queen of The View's table. Across from her, poised with a polite smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, sat Priyanka Chopra Jonas. She had arrived with her usual grace, tailored white suit, hair cascading in perfect waves, eyes sharp, alert. But under that elegance was something taut, a tension that even the pre-show banter couldn't loosen. Something unresolved, something ready to ignite. The segment was supposed to be simple, a conversation about Priyanka's newest film, her philanthropic work, and her growing influence as an international figure. But minutes before going live, someone on the production team made the mistake of reminding her, almost casually, of a remark Whoopi had made in a previous episode. A remark Priyanka had never responded to publicly. A remark she did not forget. The red tally lights flared on. The theme music rolled. And suddenly, voices hushed as Whoopi leaned in with her famous warm but sharp tone. "So Priyanka," she began, "you've been making headlines again. Big projects, bold opinions, you've been everywhere. It's interesting to see how you managed to insert yourself in every global conversation lately." The audience laughed lightly, unsure if it was a joke. But Priyanka's expression didn't change. She inhaled slowly, her jaw tightening just enough for the front row audience to notice. "Insert myself?" she repeated, her voice silky but edged. "Or contribute to conversations I'm qualified to be a part of?" Whoopi arched an eyebrow, a small gesture, but for anyone who knew her, it was the sign. The subtle shift. The warning. Joy Behar glanced between them, already sensing the temperature rising. Sunny Hostin straightened in her seat. Sarah Haynes swallowed hard. "Now hold on," Whoopi said, forcing a small laugh. "I'm just saying, sometimes it feels like you." "Feel free to say it clearly," Priyanka interrupted. "Sometimes it feels like I what?" The entire studio froze. The camera operator's hands tightened on the rig. A producer in the booth whispered, "Oh no, keep rolling." Whoopi leaned back, measuring her words. "Like you take everything a little too personally. Public figures get talked about. You know that." Priyanka nodded slowly, almost thoughtfully. "Yes, I do know that. I also know when a comment comes from a place of critique, and when it comes from something else." The audience murmured, "Something else?" Whoopi's eyes narrowed, not with anger, but calculation. "Are you suggesting something, Priyanka?" "I'm responding to something that was suggested about me," she said, voice controlled, each syllable landing with precision. "On this show. By you." The air shifted, audible, heavy, electric. For the first time, Whoopi looked slightly caught off guard. "What exactly did I say that upset you?" she asked, the words neutral but her posture defensive. Priyanka exhaled, as if she'd been holding this in for a long, long time. "You said I try too hard to act like a global authority, that my opinions come across as performative activism, and that maybe I should focus on my career instead of playing expert." The room filled with a stunned silence that felt like it had weight. Joy Behar's eyes widened. Sunny's mouth dropped open. Sarah looked at the audience like she needed backup. Whoopi shifted, uncomfortable now. "Priyanka, if you're going to bring up something from months ago." "Oh, I'm bringing it up," Priyanka cut in calmly. "Because I never addressed it. I never clapped back. I let it go because, honestly, I thought maybe it wasn't worth it. But then I realized something. When women of color speak with authority, we're often told we're being performative or overreaching. When we use our voice, it suddenly becomes inconvenient." The audience gasped. Whoopi stiffened. Her voice dropped lower. "Careful. That one word. Careful." It slid across the table like a blade. Priyanka didn't flinch. "Why? Because I'm not supposed to challenge the narrative? Not supposed to challenge you." Whoopi opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again, searching for footing. "This is not the place for whatever grudge you're holding," Whoopi said finally. Priyanka leaned forward, her eyes locked on Whoopi's with terrifying calm. "I don't hold grudges. I address them. And I'm addressing this one." A ripple of shocked whispers rolled through the audience. "Ladies," Joy Behar intervened gently, "maybe we can." "No, Joy," Priyanka said, without taking her eyes off Whoopi. "Let's finish the conversation we never had." The tension snapped tight, like a rope pulled too far. The cameras zoomed in, capturing both faces in stark, cinematic close-up. One unshaken, one challenged. Producers scrambled, unsure whether to cut to commercial or let the moment unfold. But something bigger, deeper, and far more volatile had already been unleashed between Priyanka Chopra and Whoopi Goldberg. And it was only the beginning. The silence that followed was unnatural for daytime television. It wasn't the usual manufactured pause producers used to heighten drama. This was real, uncomfortable, unplanned, and suffocating. Whoopi finally leaned forward, lowering her voice as if to regain control. "Priyanka, you know I've always respected you. But you can't just come on this show and—" Priyanka cut her off again, though this time her voice was soft, almost fragile beneath the strength. "Respect? You question my intentions, my credibility, my identity, on national television." The audience reacted with a collective, "Ooh," but no one dared laugh. Whoopi's tone hardened. "And I've been questioned too. For decades. It's part of the game." "Yes," Priyanka replied. "But there's a difference between critique and dismissal. And you dismissed me." For the first time, Whoopi broke eye contact. Joy tried again to diffuse. "Ladies, seriously, can we steer this back to—" "No, Joy," Whoopi said sharply. "Let us handle this." Joy immediately sat back. Sunny Hostin cleared her throat, speaking cautiously. "Maybe what Priyanka is saying is, sometimes we don't realize the impact of our words." Priyanka looked at her gratefully. Whoopi didn't. "Impact goes both ways," Whoopi shot back. "If you wanted to talk to me, Priyanka, you could have called me. You have the connections." Priyanka's expression shifted, hurt flashing for a moment. "You assume I wanted to call you. You assume I wasn't intentionally quiet. Why would you stay quiet?" Whoopi asked, eyes narrowing again. Priyanka hesitated, then spoke with raw honesty. "Because when I moved into Hollywood, when I entered American media, I learned very quickly who I was allowed to challenge and who I wasn't." The temperature dropped to freezing. Whoopi stared at her, eyes incredulous. "Are you implying I'm what, untouchable?" Priyanka didn't blink. "Yes." Gasps. Whispering. Someone in the back row muttered, "Oh my God." Whoopi leaned back, stunned. "Untouchable? Me." "You're Whoopi Goldberg," Priyanka replied. "Academy Award winner. EGOT. A pillar. A legend. And I respect that. But when someone at your level criticizes someone like me, the world listens. And the world echoes it." Whoopi scoffed. "If you're that bothered, maybe you're too sensitive for this industry. And maybe," Priyanka said, voice trembling slightly, "you've forgotten what it feels like to be the outsider." That hit like a slap. Whoopi's jaw tightened. The studio audience went silent again. Sunny looked genuinely distressed. "This is getting very personal." "Yes," Priyanka said. "Because it was personal." Sarah finally spoke up. "Priyanka, I get what you're saying, but calling Whoopi untouchable is huge." Priyanka nodded. "It is. But tell me I'm wrong." No one answered. Priyanka continued, the dam clearly breaking now. "When I first came to this country," she said, "I dealt with being told my accent was too Indian, that my opinions were too bold, that I should ease into Hollywood. And then, the moment I used my voice, someone I admired implied I was performative." Whoopi's voice cracked, not with emotion, but with rising irritation. "It wasn't personal. It was commentary. But it felt personal," Priyanka whispered. A long beat. Then Whoopi leaned forward again, tone clipped. "You don't get to decide my intention. And you don't get to decide my reaction." That was the moment, right there, when something shifted irreversibly. Whoopi inhaled sharply, almost like a challenge. "You want the truth? Fine. Sometimes it feels like you're always trying to prove something. Like you're desperate to be taken seriously." Priyanka didn't blink. "And sometimes it feels like you're threatened that someone new is being taken seriously." The audience exploded, shocked gasps, murmurs, hands covering mouths. Whoopi froze. Her face darkened. "Threatened?" she repeated slowly. Priyanka held her gaze. "Yes." Joy whispered, barely audible. "This is bad." Whoopi's voice dropped to a growl. I don't get threatened by anybody, sweetheart. Priyanka smiled, not smug, not mocking, just heartbreakingly sad. Everyone gets threatened, even legends. Whoopi pushed her chair back slightly, as if bracing herself. Priyanka continued, voice steady. But you didn't need to be. My success doesn't diminish yours. My voice doesn't silence yours. There's room for both. The tension softened for a moment, but only a moment, because Whoopi suddenly straightened, her expression steeled once again. You want honesty? She said. Then here it is. I don't like when celebrities jump on every social cause to stay relevant. And sometimes, Priyanka, that's how it comes across with you. Priyanka closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, they were shimmering, not with tears, but with a fierce, quiet fire. I don't jump on causes, she said. I live them. You live in Los Angeles, Whoopi muttered under her breath. A few audience members gasped again. Priyanka heard it. Everyone did. Her voice sharpened. You think living in Los Angeles erases my identity? My origin? My lived experiences? You think I stopped being Indian because I married an American? Is that the narrative you're pushing? No one said that, Whoopi snapped. You implied it, Priyanka shot back. Whoopi leaned in, eyes fierce. Watch yourself. Priyanka leaned in too. I've been watching myself my entire life. The two women stared at each other. Equal power, equal fire, equal defiance. Sunny whispered to a producer off stage. We need a break. But no break came. The producers were paralyzed, glued to the unfolding chaos. Whoopi finally looked away, rubbing her temples. Priyanka exhaled shakily, but kept her composure. The audience sat frozen, as if afraid to breathe. And for the first time in her long career, Whoopi Goldberg looked shaken. The clash wasn't over. Not even close. The tension on set had grown so thick that even the bright studio lights felt dimmer, swallowed by the heavy air between Priyanka and Whoopi. Cameras hovered like silent witnesses, capturing every flicker of emotion, every near-breathless pause, every unspoken accusation vibrating in the silence. Joy Behar tried again, her voice fragile. Maybe we can reset. But the moment had moved far beyond reset. Priyanka sat perfectly still, but her eyes, sharp, unwavering, tracked Whoopi like a storm waiting for the next crack of thunder. Whoopi finally broke the silence. You know what? Let's just put it all on the table, she said, her voice low, controlled, but edged with unmistakable frustration. If you have something to say, then say it. Don't dance around it. Priyanka didn't hesitate. Fine, she said softly. I felt dismissed. I felt minimized. I felt belittled on a show watched by millions. And instead of acknowledging that your words hurt, you doubled down. Because I meant what I said, Whoopi replied, leaning forward. I said you come across like you're trying to be an expert on everything. And I stand by it. Priyanka tilted her head, her expression unreadable. And if a man spoke out on a dozen causes, would you say he's trying too hard? Would you say he's pretending? Would you say he should stick to his movies? The audience reacted with immediate murmurs. Some nodded. Some whispered nervously. Some simply stared, wide-eyed, unable to look away. Whoopi's lips tightened. Don't make this about gender. It is about gender, Priyanka said quietly. And race. And identity. And everything you don't want to admit plays a role in how women like me are perceived. Whoopi exhaled sharply, pushing her chair back a little. You're reading into things that aren't there, Priyanka. No, Priyanka said. I'm reading exactly what was there. Sunny Hostin raised a hand, trying to step in as the voice of reason. Whoopi, Priyanka's experience is valid. Whether or not you intended it, she's saying it felt. Whoopi cut her off. I don't need anyone explaining what she's saying. Sunny blinked, taken aback. Priyanka gently nodded toward Sunny. Thank you. And somehow, that simple gratitude triggered something deeper in Whoopi, something raw. Oh, so now you're teaming up? Whoopi said, half scoffing, half serious. No one is teaming up, Priyanka said softly. We're just having a conversation. One you didn't think I'd ever confront you about. A flash of realization crossed Whoopi's face. You're angry because I didn't apologize, Whoopi said. Priyanka didn't deny it. I didn't expect an apology, she said. I expected acknowledgement. Respect. Something besides being brushed off as someone who talks too much about things that matter to me. Whoopi threw up a hand. You're twisting this into some emotional saga. It wasn't that deep. Priyanka leaned forward, eyes burning. Everything is that deep when you spend your whole life fighting to be taken seriously. Whoopi paused. Her breath hitched slightly, just slightly. Is that what you think I'm doing? She asked, quiet now. Not taking you seriously? You said so with your words, Priyanka replied. And again with your tone today. The audience fell into a hush so absolute it felt like the room was holding its breath. Whoopi stared at Priyanka, searching her face. Maybe for an opening, maybe for an exit, maybe for a crack in her armor. But Priyanka's composure was iron. You want honesty? Whoopi said finally. Fine. I didn't think you'd last this long in Hollywood. The audience gasped so loudly it echoed. Sarah grabbed the edge of the table. Sunny whispered, "Oh my God." Joy covered her mouth. Even Priyanka flinched at that. Her eyes hardened like cooling steel. And why? She asked slowly. Did you think that? Whoopi hesitated. And the hesitation was the answer. Priyanka's voice dropped to a haunting whisper. Say it. Whoopi swallowed. Because you're. She stopped. But it was already too late. Priyanka's stare sharpened. Because I'm what? Silence. The audience leaned in. Priyanka repeated, louder this time. Because I'm what, Whoopi? Whoopi shook her head. Don't do this. Say it, Priyanka insisted, her voice cracking now. Not from weakness, but from years of unspoken truths rising all at once. Say the thing you haven't said out loud. Whoopi looked down, her hands clasped. Because you weren't built for the way things work here, she said quietly. Because Hollywood can be cruel. And I didn't think you could handle it. Priyanka exhaled shakily. Then you underestimated me. Whoopi looked up. Their eyes met, fire versus fire, hurt versus hurt. Yes, Whoopi said. Maybe I did. A ripple moved through the audience. It wasn't applause or gasping or shock. It was sympathy, recognition. A moment where everyone seemed to understand they were no longer witnessing a feud, but the unraveling of something deeper. Priyanka's voice softened, vulnerable but strong. You could have supported me. You could have encouraged me. But instead you questioned me. On air. In front of the world. Whoopi's jaw trembled, not visibly, but enough that the cameras caught it. Joy reached out and touched Whoopi's arm gently. Hey, come on. Sometimes we say things we don't realize hit deeper. Whoopi didn't respond. Priyanka continued, more quietly now. I admired you. You were a blueprint. You were someone I looked up to long before Hollywood even knew my name. And when you said those words, it hurt more because it came from you. That broke something, visible, profound, in the room. Whoopi closed her eyes. The audience sat in stunned silence, connected to every breath, every tremor. After a few long seconds, Whoopi spoke. Priyanka, I didn't realize how deeply it affected you. Priyanka blinked hard. You didn't have to. Just don't dismiss me again. Whoopi nodded once, slow, heavy. All right, a fragile truce hung in the air. But not everything was resolved. Not yet, because suddenly a producer off camera shouted, We need to wrap. But Sarah Haynes interrupted, voice trembling. No, let them finish. The audience applauded, soft but supportive. Priyanka turned toward Whoopi again. I'm not asking for validation. I'm asking for fairness. Whoopi sighed, exhausted. I can do that. But the moment, this fragile bridge between two powerful women, was still scorching, still unstable, still one spark away from collapsing. Priyanka looked down, gathering herself. Thank you. Then she added quietly, You have no idea how hard it is to always be expected to explain myself. Whoopi nodded slowly. Maybe I should have known better. It wasn't an apology, but it was the closest thing she'd given. Priyanka accepted it with a brief, soft nod. And just when it seemed the storm was calming, someone in the audience suddenly shouted, Say sorry. The entire studio gasped. Priyanka froze. Whoopi stiffened. And just like that, the final flame reignited. Because Whoopi turned sharply toward the audience, her voice louder, firmer, and sharper than at any point before. I don't apologize because someone demands it, she snapped. And Priyanka's head lifted slowly, her eyes narrowing once again. And round two began. Whoopi's words, sharp, defiant, almost shocking, hung in the air like a crack of thunder. I don't apologize because someone demands it. The studio went dead silent. The audience member who had yelled the prompt sank back into their seat. Others looked around nervously, sensing the fragile truce shatter in real time. Priyanka inhaled deeply, sitting straighter, her composure returning like a queen reclaiming her throne. Whoopi remained tense, unsettled, her hands gripping the edges of the table as she stared ahead. Joy Behar let out a shaky breath. Okay, let's take a second. Let's just. But Priyanka spoke before anyone else could intervene. I wasn't asking for an apology, she said, voice calm, eerily calm. And I certainly don't need one forced by the audience. Whoopi slowly turned back toward her. You sure? She said, that familiar bite in her tone. Priyanka nodded. Yes, because an apology means nothing if your heart wasn't in the words. It means nothing if it didn't come from understanding. Sunny Hostin whispered, "Oh boy," under her breath, but everyone heard it. Sarah Haynes was clutching her cup so tightly the lid crinkled loudly in her hand. Priyanka continued, her gaze steady. I didn't come here to corner you, or drag this into some spectacle. I came here because I didn't want to keep carrying something that was never addressed. Then why bring it up on live TV? Whoopi asked. Because, Priyanka replied softly, live TV is where it happened. That hit Whoopi hard, visibly, undeniably. She looked away for a moment, her facade cracking enough to reveal a flash of discomfort. The audience watched, breathless. Joy leaned in gently. Whoopi, maybe you could. I don't owe anybody anything, Whoopi said quickly, but the conviction wasn't as strong as before. Priyanka didn't interrupt. She simply looked at Whoopi like she was waiting, not for an apology, but for honesty. The kind that cut deeper than the confrontation itself. Whoopi sighed, rubbing her forehead. Look, I'm not good at this. Never have been. Good at what? Priyanka asked. Talking about feelings, Whoopi muttered. Or this emotional stuff. I say things bluntly. Sometimes too bluntly. It's not about feelings, Priyanka said. It's about respect. Whoopi winced. The audience murmured. And finally, Whoopi exhaled and looked Priyanka straight in the eyes. I didn't mean to disrespect you, she said quietly. I really didn't. I was giving commentary on celebrities who talk a lot about causes. I didn't think you'd take it the way you did. Priyanka blinked, surprised by the shift in tone. Thank you, she said, voice soft. That means something. It's not an apology, Whoopi added quickly. I know, Priyanka replied. But it's acknowledgement. And sometimes that's all people need. Whoopi nodded slowly. Sunny exhaled in pure relief. Sarah even clapped softly before realizing she was the only one, then awkwardly dropped her hands. But just as the atmosphere began to settle, something unexpected happened. Priyanka leaned back, eyes thoughtful. You know, she said gently, people think women tearing each other down is entertainment. But this is not entertainment to me. This conversation, it means something. The audience nodded, some even humming in agreement. Whoopi's expression softened, just slightly. I know what you mean, Priyanka added. We're both women who fought our way into industries that weren't built for people like us. I respect your legacy, Whoopi. Truly. That's why your words hit deep. Whoopi swallowed, emotion flickering across her face. And I respect your hustle, she admitted. You work hard. You've earned your place. It wasn't quite warm, but it was sincere. And for Priyanka, that sincerity mattered more than any scripted apology. The audience clapped, gently at first, then louder, then erupting into a standing ovation as the two women exchanged a small, complicated, but genuine nod of mutual respect. But the moment wasn't over. Not yet, because once the cameras faded to commercial and the audience applause died down, the true aftermath detonated. Within minutes, clips hit social media, snippets, out-of-context cuts, emotional close-ups, fan reactions recorded from inside the studio. The confrontation spread like wildfire. People took sides immediately. Twitter exploded. Priyanka held her ground, powerful queen energy. Whoopi was out of line. Period. Two icons clashing, daytime TV will never recover. Why didn't Whoopi just apologize? Others were more divided. Priyanka was too sensitive. No, Whoopi dismissed her experience. Debates ignited across TikTok, Instagram, podcasts, gossip channels, and late-night shows. Memes appeared within minutes. Fan edits. Dramatic slow-motion sequences. Captioned replays with suspense music. The View's producers released a statement by the end of the day. This was an authentic conversation between two strong women. No animosity remains. But that did nothing to calm the firestorm. Priyanka's fans praised her for speaking truth to power. Whoopi's fans defended her blunt honesty. The entire entertainment world buzzed, dissecting every word, every pause, every look exchanged at that table. And yet, quietly, behind all the noise, something meaningful lingered. Two powerful women had collided. Sparks flew. Emotions flared. But in the end, they heard each other. Something shifted. Something healed. Something changed. And that, more than the confrontation itself, was what people couldn't stop talking about. As the echo of the moment rippled through the internet, late-night talk shows, morning radio, and living rooms across the world, one question emerged. Whose side are you on? And that's where you come in. Before you scroll, before you move on, tell us what you think. Who was right? Who was wrong? Who surprised you? Who disappointed you? Drop your honest opinion in the comments below. And if you want more explosive, dramatic, cinematic stories just like this one, real confrontations, emotional unravelings, and moments that shake the entertainment world, make sure you hit subscribe to Stage View. Tap like, and share this video with someone who needs to see it. More shocking stories are coming. And trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.